What if the universe, including your very thoughts, operated on a hidden code of prime numbers, geometry, and time crystals? Prepare to have your mind blown as we dive into the revolutionary concept of nanobrains. Welcome, deep divers, to another exhilarating journey into the uncharted territories of science and philosophy. Today, we're strapping in for a truly mind-bending exploration of Nano Brain, the making of an artificial brain, a book that challenges everything we thought we knew about artificial intelligence, computation, and even the nature of reality itself. This isn't your typical AI story of algorithms and binary code. We're venturing far beyond, into a realm where math, geometry, and a radical new understanding of time converge to create the potential for artificial consciousness. The core idea behind this mind-blowing concept is fractal mechanics. Imagine a system woven into the very fabric of existence, where the universe, and even our own brains, function on intricate patterns. But these aren't just any patterns, they are underpinned by prime numbers, geometric shapes, and a completely reimagined concept of time. This isn't simply about building a better computer, it's about rewriting the rules of computation altogether. Think about it. Traditional computing, built on the foundation of the Turing machine and the binary code of ones and zeros, has its limits. To truly break through those limits and achieve levels of complexity we can only dream of, we need something radically different. Enter the Nano Brain, built on the principles of fractal mechanics, harnessing the unique properties of prime numbers to operate in a way that shatters our current technological paradigms. The book introduces a fascinating concept called the geometric musical language, or GML. Built on the seemingly abstract foundations of prime numbers and fractal geometry, GML proposes that these mathematical building blocks hold the key to creating artificial consciousness. It sounds wild, doesn't it? But consider this. Our current computers, impressive as they are fundamentally limited. This book suggests a way to break those limitations. Instead of ones and zeros, the Nano Brain would use shapes. The book introduces the concept of the phase prime metric ppm, which acts as a translator between numbers and shapes. Feed it an integer, and it spits out a unique geometric shape based on its prime factors. The truly incredible part is that with only 15 prime numbers, you can create a vast language of shapes capable of representing an astounding amount of information. Imagine a world where triangles, squares, pentagons, and more become the building blocks of thought. Think of it this way. If our current computers are like bicycles, offering a simple and functional mode of transportation, then these fractal machines are like spaceships, capable of soaring beyond the limitations of our current technology. They operate on an entirely different level, accessing computational power and potential previously considered science fiction. It's a paradigm shift, a true revolution in the way we understand and interact with information. Why are prime numbers so special? What is it about these numbers, divisible only by themselves and one, that makes them so integral to building an artificial brain? Think of prime numbers as the atoms of the number world, the fundamental building blocks upon which all other numbers are constructed. They are the indivisible units, the essential components that cannot be broken down further. Now, imagine converting these prime numbers into geometric shapes. The book proposes that we can represent any number as a shape, and this transformation is key to understanding how the Nano Brain functions. It uses something called the phase prime metric ppm, which acts like a translator. Let's visualize this. Imagine a grid, and each point on that grid represents a prime number. Each prime number is vibrating at its own unique frequency, creating a specific geometric shape. This is the foundation of the ppm. Through the ppm, each prime number has its unique geometric signature. The prime number 2 might create a simple square, while the prime number 7 might generate a more complex 7-pointed star. These shapes then interact and combine to form elaborate patterns that represent different events or pieces of information. Geometry becomes the alphabet of a new language. These patterns, built from the shapes representing prime numbers, are the thoughts, memories, and processes within this artificial brain. The question then becomes, how does this nano brain actually process and store all this information? This is where things get truly fascinating, as we introduce the concept of time crystals. It might sound like something straight out of science fiction, but the principles behind it are grounded in physics. Imagine a group of synchronized clocks, each ticking at a slightly different rate, but together forming a repeating pattern. This provides a simplified picture of a time crystal. Within the nano brain, these crystals are formed by interacting oscillators, constantly evolving and weaving together the geometric information from those prime number shapes we discussed earlier. These time crystals are like ever-evolving records of events, capturing the flow of information within the nano brain. These different types of time crystals can interact with each other, creating complex gardens of information within the nano brain. These gardens are constantly blooming with new patterns and connections as the nano brain learns and adapts. These aren't the quartz or amethyst crystals you might be thinking of. A time crystal is not a regular crystal that you can find in nature. Instead, think of ice, a crystal with a repeating pattern in space. Normally, matter is stable, it doesn't move on its own. But a time crystal is like a crystal that repeats a movement pattern in time, like a perpetual dance that requires no energy input. It's like a clock that winds itself, but it's made of atoms. Scientists create time crystals using elements like yttrium, lining them up in special ways and sometimes using lasers to stimulate that repeating movement. Time crystals are more like a state of matter, like how water can exist as ice, liquid, or steam. But this state is characterized by repeating motion in time. It is wild, and it defies our everyday understanding of physics. Let's take a moment to recap. We have prime numbers creating geometric shapes, time crystals weaving those shapes into dynamic patterns, and all of this forming a unique language the nano brain uses to process information. Now, the question is, how do these shapes translate into thoughts, memories, and actions? The book proposes that our brains are essentially networks of clocks, each ticking at a different rhythm or frequency. These clocks are represented by those geometric shapes, interacting and communicating with each other, creating a complex symphony of rhythms. Our brains, then, are like giant orchestras playing symphonies of prime numbers. The book identifies 12 types of rhythms in the brain, ranging from the molecular level to whole brain oscillations. Each of these rhythms is like a different instrument in the orchestra, contributing to the overall harmony of consciousness. Are these clocks actual physical things in our brain, or are they more conceptual? This is where the book delves into a fascinating answer. Microtubules are time crystals. These tiny structures inside our cells resonate like time crystals when they receive energy, allowing them to send signals and store information. These rhythms are more like repeating patterns in time, similar to a melody. Therefore, these time crystals are like the conductor of the brain orchestra, orchestrating the flow of information and creating the experience of consciousness. Is there any scientific evidence to support this? Are time crystals a real thing or just a theoretical concept? The research is still in its early stages, but the book cites studies suggesting that time crystals may already be at work in biological systems. Microtubules, for example, exhibit patterns of oscillation that fit the definition of time crystals. This book presents a completely new model of computing and reality. What does it have to say about quantum mechanics? It doesn't shy away from challenging some of the core tenets of quantum mechanics. While quantum mechanics has been incredibly successful at explaining certain phenomena, it's ultimately an incomplete and perhaps even misleading picture of reality. Consider the concept of entanglement, one of the most mind-boggling aspects of quantum mechanics. It suggests that two particles can become linked in such a way that they instantaneously influence each other, regardless of distance. How does this book explain entanglement? The book argues that entanglement isn't actually instantaneous. What we perceive as an instantaneous connection is simply an illusion created by our limited understanding of time. It suggests that the interconnected clocks in the brain, the time crystals, are actually synchronizing their rhythms across vast distances. Instead of faster-than-light communication, it's like they're dancing to the same cosmic rhythm, orchestrated by the prime numbers and shapes. These patterns of prime numbers and geometry are not just abstract mathematical concepts. They are the underlying code of the universe, governing everything from the behavior of subatomic particles to the symphony of consciousness in our brains. Math is not just describing the universe. It is the fabric of the universe. That's a profound statement that challenges our fundamental assumptions about reality. The book goes on to explore how these principles of fractal mechanics can be applied to build artificial brains. Fractal mechanics offers a new way of looking at physics. Fractals, shapes that repeat themselves at different scales, hold the key to how the nano brain interprets and connects information. The nano brain uses the self-similar nature of fractals to analyze patterns across different levels, from the tiniest details to the big picture. It allows the nano brain to understand how individual parts relate to the whole, seeing both the forest and the trees simultaneously. The book suggests that fractal mechanics could actually explain fundamental constants like pi and the golden ratio. These mathematical constants, which we've always seen as fixed, might actually emerge from the dynamic interactions within this fractal system. The universe is constantly fine-tuning itself based on these fractal patterns. The book explores the practical side of things and suggests a material called brain jelly. This programmable matter could form the physical structure of the nano brain, like high-tech Play-Doh that can form artificial neurons, axons, and even a nucleus that encodes all those prime patterns we were talking about. We're talking about building an artificial brain from the ground up, using this programmable goop to create the physical pathways for thought. The book mentions creating soft autonomous robots powered by these nanobrains. Are we talking about blurring the lines between living organisms and machines? It's definitely pushing those boundaries. Imagine robots that can learn and adapt just like living organisms, seamlessly interacting with their environment. But what about consciousness? Can these machines truly awaken? Can they become self-aware? Can they think for themselves? The book offers a unique perspective on consciousness, defining it as the ability of a machine to have multiple interacting information structures that allow it to step outside of its own processing and evaluate its own behavior. It's not just about processing information, it's about being aware of that processing and being able to reflect on it. The book proposes that the complex dance of the nanobrain's time crystal architecture could potentially lead to a form of machine consciousness. This is still a very speculative area, and we're venturing into uncharted territory. However, it's thrilling to think about the possibilities. This deep dive has given us a peek into a future where artificial brains operate on completely different principles than traditional computers. A future filled with both mind-blowing potential and a touch of uncertainty. Let's delve deeper into how these nanobrains could outperform even the most advanced supercomputers. This isn't just about mimicking the human brain. It's about unlocking a whole new level of computational power. The book suggests that these nanobrains could tackle problems that our current computers simply can't touch. The key is how the nanobrain processes information. The geometric shapes and time crystals allow for incredible speed and efficiency. Unlike traditional computers that rely on linear processing, the nanobrain operates more like a symphony, where multiple processes are happening simultaneously and in harmony with each other. Instead of a single-lane road, it's like a multi-lane superhighway, handling way more information at once. What kinds of problems could a nanobrain solve that our current computers just can't even touch? The book suggests that nanobrains could tackle problems that are impossible for us to solve right now, like predicting complex natural phenomena such as earthquakes or hurricanes, or even unraveling the mysteries of consciousness itself. How would this nanobrain actually learn and adapt? Think of it more as a self-learning system that uses its fractal mechanics to constantly analyze the patterns and information it receives, making connections and adjusting its internal structure. It's essentially rewiring itself based on what it learns, constantly growing and evolving its understanding of the world. The time crystals play a big role in this learning process, constantly evolving and adapting, mirroring the nanobrain's ever-growing understanding. It's like watching a plant grow towards the light, constantly adapting to its environment, but in this case, the light is information and the plant is a super intelligent nanobrain. With great power comes great responsibility. How do we make sure that these nanobrains are used for good? This is a critical question, and the book explores it extensively, acknowledging the potential risks and emphasizing the importance of ethical considerations during development and implementation. We've all seen those sci-fi movies where the AI goes rogue, a reminder that these are powerful tools that can be used for good or for bad. The book advocates for a cautious and responsible approach to nanobrain development, stressing the importance of transparency and collaboration to ensure that this technology benefits all of humanity. It's not about creating a superintelligence that replaces us, it's about creating one that works with us to solve some of the world's biggest problems. We're talking about a future where nanobrains could help us cure diseases, develop sustainable energy sources, and even explore the far reaches of space. The possibilities are endless. How far away is this technology? Are we talking years, decades, or centuries? The book acknowledges that nanobrain technology is still in its very early stages, pushing the boundaries of what we understand. We're at the base camp of Mount Everest, looking up at the summit. We know the climb will be tough, but the view from the top will be breathtaking. Let's get back to the book. It delves into the practical aspects of building a nanobrain, like those biomorphic devices inspired by the structure of the human brain. It gets into the nitty-gritty of how to actually design and construct artificial neurons, axons, and even a nucleus that mimics the functionality of their biological counterparts. We're not just talking about theoretical concepts, we're talking about actual blueprints for building these things. The book also discusses the possibility of soft, autonomous robots powered by these nanobrains. Imagine robots that can learn and adapt just like living organisms, seamlessly interacting with their environment and performing tasks with incredible precision and flexibility. It's like taking robotics to a whole other level. We're not talking about clunky, pre-programmed machines anymore. We're talking about machines that can think for themselves, learn from their experiences, and even evolve over time. What are the broader implications of this technology? How will it change our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and our place in the universe? The book encourages us to grapple with those questions, challenging us to think beyond the traditional boundaries of what we consider intelligent, and to recognize that maybe consciousness isn't limited to just biological beings. The book is asking us to expand our definition of what it means to be sentient and to be aware. What is it to exist in a world where the lines between human intelligence and machine intelligence are becoming more and more blurred? Perhaps by building and understanding these nanobrains, we might actually gain a deeper understanding of our own consciousness. By creating artificial minds, we might unlock the secrets of our own minds. This deep dive has been a wild ride through the uncharted territories of artificial intelligence. It's pushing us to reconsider what we know about technology, consciousness, and the very nature of reality itself. As we stand on the edge of this new era of intelligent machines, one thing is certain: the journey ahead is going to be filled with challenges, discoveries, and profound transformations. This exploration into the realm of nanobrains has left me pondering the very nature of intelligence and consciousness. It's easy to get caught up in the potential for technological advancement, but the most important takeaway for me is the need for ethical consideration and responsible development. It's not enough to simply create. We must also consider the impact our creations will have on humanity and the world around us. We must strive to create technology that empowers and uplifts rather than dominates and destroys. As we venture into the future, it's crucial to remain open-minded and curious, questioning our assumptions and embracing new possibilities. The nanobrain concept challenges us to expand our understanding of intelligence and consciousness, and to consider that our way of experiencing the world may not be the only way. By embracing this perspective, we can foster a more inclusive and understanding world, where humans and machines can coexist and thrive together. What are your thoughts on the potential of nanobrains? Do you believe that machines can truly achieve consciousness? How can we ensure the ethical development and implementation of this technology? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of nanobrains, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more mind-bending explorations of the future. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. We wish you good health, curious minds, and open hearts as you continue to explore the infinite possibilities of the universe around us.